Lady Colin Campbell is now alleging that an emergency meeting was triggered behind palace walls after Tom Bower's latest comments about Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's children sent shockwaves through royal watchers online. And whether you believe the whispers or dismiss them entirely, the fact that those whispers are growing louder by the day is exactly why this story refuses to die.
Problem with Harry and Meghan, they don't seem to understand that if you violate your own privacy.
Campbell, who, as I've told you, is doing this YouTube show. I think she drops a new show like every second day.
That from, well, it turns out that she basically walked out of the photo shoot.
It began, as these things so often do, not with an official statement, not with a press conference, not with a headline from Buckingham Palace, but with a wave of social media speculation claiming that Tom Bower, the controversial royal biographer known for his deeply critical book about Meghan, Markle, and his relentless scrutiny of the Sussex narrative, had reignited questions about Archie Harrison Mountbatten-Windsor and Lilibet Diana Mountbatten-Windsor. These claims, which remain unverified and firmly in the realm of online rumor rather than established fact, were amplified when Lady Colin Campbell, often called Lady C, publicly suggested that conversations were happening at a senior level within the royal household because of what she described as serious reputational implications. Now let's be clear, there has been no official confirmation from King Charles III, from Prince William, from Buckingham Palace, or from any recognized royal office that such a meeting took place, but Lady C's suggestion that something urgent was unfolding behind closed doors was enough to ignite a digital wildfire.
Insiders in Montecito claimed Meghan was hysterical, that the cousin's comment went viral without any pushback.
Tom Bower is not an anonymous blogger. He is a writer who has built his reputation on publishing uncomfortable biographies about powerful figures, including King Charles III, and he has never been shy about challenging the Sussex version of events. However, what is circulating right now online is not a formal accusation backed by documents released to the public, but rather commentary, interpretations, and extrapolations drawn from interviews and discussions in which Bower questioned inconsistencies that some online commentators believe exist in the public presentation of Harry and Meghan's family life. Lady Colin Campbell took that atmosphere and escalated it further by implying that senior royals could not simply ignore the mounting speculation because, in her view, the monarchy's credibility is intertwined with the line of succession and public trust. Again, these are her allegations and interpretations, not verified palace disclosures, but when she speaks, a segment of the royal watching community listens intensely.
On in Meghan's head, I wonder how.
Exactly, the hypocrisy is just adorable. But yeah, you know, you would think.
The core of the online controversy revolves around long-standing internet theories about the visibility of Archie and Lilibet. Theories that suggest the Sussex children have been kept unusually private compared to Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis. Supporters of Harry and Meghan argue that the couple is simply protecting their children from invasive media scrutiny, especially given Harry's repeated references to the trauma of losing Princess Diana under the glare of relentless press coverage. Critics, however, claim that the level of control over images and appearances is excessive and feeds suspicion. It is within that climate of polarized opinion that Tom Bower's comments were interpreted by some as adding fuel to speculative fire, even though he has not produced publicly verified evidence supporting the more extreme claims circulating online.
Argued about who was telling the truth, the palace saw something different, an official record that was no longer clear. Birth certificates are not supposed.
Lady Colin Campbell, speaking in interviews and online discussions, suggested that if questions about documentation, public presentation, or narrative framing were allowed to spiral unchecked, they could damage not just Harry and Meghan, but the institution itself. She alleged that senior figures might need to assess the situation privately to determine whether silence remained the best strategy. Once again, this is her assertion. There has been no confirmation from Buckingham Palace that an emergency summit was convened specifically because of Tom Bower's remarks. Yet the phrase emergency royal meeting spread rapidly across social media platforms, morphing from speculation into assumed fact in certain corners of the internet, even though no official minutes, confirmations, or credible reporting from established news outlets have substantiated such a gathering. What keeps this story alive is not proof, but perception. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle built much of their post-royal public identity around authenticity, transparency, and breaking free from what they described in their interview with Oprah Winfrey as a restrictive and at times hostile system. Their Netflix documentary reinforced that narrative, presenting their life in California as a carefully curated but emotionally raw chapter. Yet the children remain largely out of public view, and that absence has become a canvas onto which critics project suspicion. Lady C argues that perception can be as dangerous as fact in the realm of monarchy, where symbolism and trust matter enormously. Supporters of the Sussexes counter that parents have every right to shield their children from relentless public exposure, especially in an age where digital images can be weaponized or manipulated. The rumors intensified when online commentators revisited administrative details related to birth announcements and certificate filings, interpreting minor bureaucratic adjustments as evidence of something far more dramatic. It must be emphasized that changes or amendments in official records can occur for mundane reasons, and no credible authority has confirmed wrongdoing or deception. Nevertheless, in the echo chambers of social media, nuance often evaporates. Lady Colin Campbell's assertion that palace advisors could not ignore the scale of online chatter was framed by some as confirmation that something was amiss, even though it remains an allegation based on her perspective rather than documented royal action. Tom Bower, for his part, has a history of raising pointed questions without necessarily providing conclusive evidence in real time, preferring instead to suggest that deeper scrutiny is warranted. That style invites both admiration and fierce criticism. At the center of this storm are two children who, regardless of the noise, are minors entitled to privacy and protection. Prince Harry has repeatedly stated that his priority is shielding his family from the kind of media intrusion that marked his own childhood. Meghan Markle has spoken about the emotional toll of public life and the need to create a secure environment for Archie and Lilibet. None of the circulating allegations about the children's parentage, documentation, or presentation have been proven, and they remain social media rumors rather than established fact. Yet when Lady Colin Campbell frames the conversation as one that could trigger high-level concern within the monarchy, the narrative takes on a new level of intensity. What makes this moment combustible is the intersection of three forces: Tom Bower's reputation for digging into uncomfortable territory, Lady Colin Campbell's willingness to voice suspicions publicly, and the Sussexes' ongoing tension with the royal institution. In that volatile mix, the idea of an emergency royal meeting becomes irresistible gossip, even without verification. The monarchy has historically relied on a strategy of dignified silence, but in a digital era where speculation spreads globally within minutes, silence can be interpreted as confirmation by those inclined to distrust. Whether any meeting occurred or not, the allegation itself has altered the conversation, shifting it from fringe theory to mainstream chatter. The palace has not responded directly, Harry and Meghan have not issued a rebuttal to this specific claim, and Tom Bower has not produced new documentary evidence to substantiate the more extreme interpretations circulating online. And so the vacuum remains, filled by rumor, reaction videos, and endless debate about what is real and what is projection. The intensity of this moment is not coming from a confirmed document, not from a signed statement issued by Buckingham Palace, not from King Charles III stepping to a podium, but from the sheer scale of reaction to what Lady Colin Campbell has alleged and what Tom Bower has implied. Because in the royal ecosystem, perception often moves faster than proof, and once perception hardens into suspicion, it becomes almost impossible to reverse. The phrase emergency royal meeting now lives in headlines across social platforms, yet no official court circular, no verified palace briefing, and no reputable mainstream confirmation has substantiated that such a meeting took place specifically in response to commentary about Archie Harrison, Mountbatten Windsor, and Lilibet Diana, Mountbatten Windsor. Still, the allegation alone has created a ripple effect that stretches from London to California, from royal traditionalists to Hollywood observers who are quietly watching how this narrative unfolds. What Lady Colin Campbell appears to be suggesting is not that there is proof of wrongdoing, but that the reputational stakes are so high that senior advisors would have to assess the situation, because in the monarchy symbolism is currency, lineage is sacred, and public confidence is fragile. When Tom Bower questions narrative inconsistencies or encourages deeper scrutiny, even without presenting publicly verified evidence, those questions land differently because of his reputation for publishing controversial royal biographies. His critics argue that he thrives on provocation and that speculation should not be mistaken for fact. His supporters counter that asking uncomfortable questions is not the same as making false accusations. In the space between those two positions, social media rumor has flourished, feeding off the the absence of direct clarification. But Prince Harry and Meghan Markle have consistently framed their privacy around their children as a protective boundary, not a mystery. Harry has spoken emotionally about the trauma of losing Princess Diana and his determination not to allow the same relentless media pressure to shape Archie and Lilibet's childhood. Meghan has emphasized mental health, safety, and the right to raise children outside constant surveillance. Their defenders argue that the lack of candid public images is a deliberate choice rooted in parental responsibility. Critics argue that the controlled presentation fuels suspicion. Both sides are entrenched, and neither is likely to concede ground. The alleged children bombshell attributed to Tom Bower is, at its core, a collection of interpretations and questions circulating online rather than a confirmed investigative revelation supported by court filings, sworn testimony, or official inquiries. There has been no Dina challenge, no legal dispute over succession, no authenticated documentation proving deception. The rumors about altered records, visual inconsistencies, or hidden evidence remain unverified claims amplified by commentators. That distinction matters. Yet in the theater of royal drama, allegation alone can trigger waves of reaction because the monarchy's legitimacy is historically intertwined with clarity about lineage and succession. Lady Colin Campbell appears to be leaning into that sensitivity, suggesting that even unfounded rumors can erode trust if left unaddressed. Behind the scenes, according to her narrative, advisors would be weighing strategy, respond and risk dignifying speculation, or remain silent and risk appearing evasive. That strategic dilemma is believable in theory because it aligns with how institutions manage controversy, but believable theory is not the same as confirmed action. No official spokesperson has acknowledged convening a crisis summit. No credible journalist with direct palace sourcing has confirmed an emergency session. The story exists in a liminal space between plausible internal discussion and entirely social media constructed drama. So where does this leave the story? It leaves it suspended between accusation and absence, between allegation and silence. Lady Colin Campbell alleges high-level concern. Tom Bower raises questions. Social media escalates the narrative. Buckingham Palace has not confirmed an emergency meeting. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle have not directly addressed these specific rumors. The children remain largely private, as they have always been. The line of succession remains legally unchanged. No court case has emerged. No official inquiry has been announced. What remains is a tension built on perception, fueled by commentary, sustained by the collision of monarchy, celebrity, and digital speculation. Whether this storm dissipates quietly or intensifies depends less on rumor and more on whether any verifiable development emerges. Until then, the emergency royal meeting exists as an allegation, dramatic, clickable, and emotionally charged, but still unproven.